The Mind Over Chatter podcast. The Mind Over Chatter podcast with Oz and Hog. The Mind Over podcast. The Mind Over Chatter podcast with Oz and Hog.
Welcome to episode 6 of Mind Over Chatter with myself, Dave, Aussie Borge, and my good man over here, Andrew Hogg. Hoggy, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing well. You?
I'm a bit at the moment. A bit overwhelmed. Too much going on. Too many big things. We decided like to move house, so there's lots of meetings and rubbish with regards to that, and just not handling it as best as I could. But you know, it's a journey, right?
Yeah, it's a journey.
It's a journey, and you're always working on it. So
I conquer, I think is the word.
Conquer is the word, yeah.
Yeah.
You conquer.
I've had a few days where I haven't exactly been myself.
Yeah.
Could be partly the weather as well.
The change of season?
Yeah.
Or just the grey weather, you mean?
No, the grey weather. So no, not really the change of season. The change of season is going to hit me soon with the whole hay fever thing.
Right.
And
you're a sufferer, huh? You're a big sufferer? Or?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, with the 13 repetitive sneezes and
yeah. Do you know anyone? I think like 80% of this island now suffers from these sort of things. My whole family does, except for my daughter. The other three of us do. Could be the dust in the air with all the construction.
Look, as soon as
pollution.
I'm in a dusty area,
you go. Yeah.
I go.
Yeah.
I go. And then, I mean, I can take an antihistamine, but then that affects my dry eye syndrome, and it just
right. So now you just sneeze.
Sends me haywire.
Yeah. So you just sneeze now. Yeah. Do you get any other symptoms other than sneezing, or
no
headaches?
No. I get itchiness.
Itchiness.
Yeah, especially my eyes. My eyes. I've got the thing where my eyes are constantly itching me. Sometimes in the morning, well, most days in the morning, my eyes literally won't open unless I use drops.
Really? They'll be dry and shut.
It will be painful to open.
Wow.
But yeah.
Do you get like all crusty stuff in your eyes? And
No, not really. No, I just get literally. It's just painful.
Wow, painful to open your eyes in the morning.
Yeah.
You're quite a case, man. We're a good partnership.
Yeah, you think, like we've mentioned previously, you think that I live this life where everything's perfect. No, absolutely not.
No.
You know, and I'll be really honest with you. So the dry eye syndrome thingy. I pass through phases. There are days where I'm fine, but there are days where honestly it is just like tiring. Now I've never had tetanus, but I compare it to the stress of tetanus because it's ridiculously tiring.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I hijacked
No, it's good. I like to hear about it. I mean, I'm the same. I suffer from bad sinus problems, and when they're at their worst, it's like I have a fever. Even though I have no fever, my body starts to ache all over. It's just, I think a lot of people are suffering from these things right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the fact that it's okay to be not happy, not at your best. Life's a journey, right? And the one thing we wanted on this podcast is to always be open and honest about everything that's going on. So I'm going through some stuff. Andrew's going through some stuff. It's a part of life. We work on the journey, right? And the day-to-day and trying to be better. So we're going to talk about, actually, someone's going to join us in just a few moments. And this is someone who you're connecting us with because you've worked with her before.
Yeah.
And why don't you introduce her? Because I think that's suitable.
So we have national weightlifter and social media star Yazmin Zammit. She's become a friend of mine over the past months. Basically, we connected before she had to compete in the Commonwealth Games through my work as a mental performance coach, and we had to deal with some shit basically.
Okay.
Some shit that she was going through from a performance perspective.
Okay.
And I believe that we got her we got her because obviously she's the main part of the process.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah. To a really good place. So I felt that for this podcast, she was an asset to bring on, you know. So I'm excited to discover some stuff.
I'm looking forward to meeting you. Let's get her in.
Yeah.
The Mind Over Chatter podcast with Oz and Hog.
Okay, we accept the clap.
Yeah, Yazmin,
Okay.
welcome to the podcast and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you, first of all?
Good. Busy, but very good.
Busy is good, no?
Busy is good, yes.
Have you
Yes.
ever been not busy?
In the last few years, probably not.
No, right?
No.
Do you remember a time when you weren't busy?
I do, and I thought I was busy back then. So it's like I want to go back and tell myself.
We always think we're busy until we actually get like really
Exactly,
busy,
yeah.
right?
And you miss it?
No, I love being busy. I really, as in the way I am busy at the moment is with like doing all the things I absolutely love doing. So I
That's
wouldn't have
nice.
it any other way.
That's good. So I think we should possibly introduce you properly in terms of people who may not know who you are, which is probably few, but anyway. So you are a professional athlete. You are a weightlifter. You went to the Olympic Games. And you're also a bit of a social media star as well.
If you say
Does
so.
that sort of sum it up?
Yes, I think
Well, you've
that
got over 200,000 followers.
Yes.
I don't think you can deny that there is something there, right?
You take stock every week, like
Not really, no.
What does that mean? Take stock.
Take stock.
take stock of your
How many followers? All right.
As in, obviously, I'm always aware of it. It's not something you can't not be aware of. But yes, there's so much more to like my social media than just the number of people following me. Like I think I have such a great community of people that are with me on this journey, and that is what my social media is about, for sure.
That's really cool.
It is cool. It is cool. I've always wondered about this. People who have that many followers, okay? Because like myself and him, like we're like 0.001% together or something like that, right? So having that many followers, do you make money from Instagram through that, or is it just through sponsorships and deals and stuff you do to promote yourself and the
Yeah,
page and
so
that sort
you
of stuff?
do not make money off of
That's
having
only a
followers.
YouTube thing,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Exactly. So you're only monetized on your content off of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok does that in certain countries, but not in Malta, because
Okay.
I also have close to 160,000 followers on TikTok.
Wow.
But it's not monetized locally. So
Mm-hmm.
at the moment, I am, like career-wise,
Mm-hmm.
I am a full-time content creator, and the money that I make is through the brands that I work with and promote them on my social media.
Super. And do you do, I mean, the content, you do it all yourself? I know, I watched some of your videos in the last few days and very well made. So do you have
Thank
someone
you.
working with you?
I do not actually.
Everything
So
is yourself. Wow.
I plan, produce, film, edit, come up with everything that is on my social media at the moment. It is definitely what I wanted, because the people that follow me because they know that what they're getting is 100% me. Nothing
That's
is
cool.
scripted by a third person. Of course, I am looking into hopefully getting some type of help, because
Yeah.
it gets a bit overwhelming. Keeping in mind that I'm doing this on the side of training twice a day.
Wow.
So this is a full-time job on the side of another full-time job. So I am looking into getting maybe someone else to help me just edit my videos, or just help me manage it all together, because it becomes a bit overwhelming. But 99.9% of what you see is done, edited, produced by me.
That's very impressive.
I mean, do you have some kind of? I know you're saying that everything is authentic and whatever, but do you have some kind of structure
Of course.
on how you're going to present it, and
Yes.
or is it a thing? Okay, now you're telling me yes, but or is it a thing where you wake up in the morning and say, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to bust it out? Let me dedicate 3 hours to this and see what comes up.
Yeah, so I mean, you could do that, but you end up not being authentic when you do that, in the sense that you get into panic mode. You have to post something for a brand, let's say today, and it's like you have to come up with something on that certain day if you had to do it in that way. So the way I do it is I know how many posts I need to post for whatever brand per month, and at the beginning of the month I'll space those out across the month. So I'll know that, let's say, the biggest brand I work with is Gymshark. I need to post something for them on the Thursday. Now, they give me a lot of creative freedom. I post whatever I want. As long as such I'm wearing Gymshark, then that's all good. And because I want it to be authentic to me and my audience and my type of content in general, I'll know that I'll probably do squats on Thursday. So I'll just film my squats that I'm doing that day. So nothing is fake, because I know that I'm doing that day. So I'll just film that. I'll wear that outfit, and then that's all well and good. So because I structure everything, it's in turn a bit more authentic as well, because I would have known from before I don't know, let's say over the weekend I meal prep. So if I'm going to do something for my nutrition app that I work with, then it makes sense to do it over the weekend. So I schedule it over the weekend because it seamlessly fits my life and it ends up being more authentic that way than waking up on a Monday and thinking, oh, I should have posted something for this nutrition app. So let me, fake prepping a meal. You know what I mean? So it just becomes a bit more authentic if I actually do pre-plan everything.
Have you always been sort of an organized person, or has this just come sort of with this, lifestyle that you have now?
Well, I have a bachelor's degree in maths and statistics. And if you're not organized through university years doing that, I think school and my educational background really prepared me to become a more organized human being. And of course, being an athlete, I mean, I'm sure you can confirm, you have to be structured because you have to, make sure that your food is prepped, you're sleeping on time, you have everything in line to go to training on time. So I think I'm just naturally a more structured person. So this was not like a major effort for
the transferable skills from being an athlete to real life
for sure.
So like you don't get them really anywhere
through
else.
anything else for sure.
I can imagine the
So,
discipline.
Can we take a few steps back, right? And
Okay.
maybe you want to tell us a bit about who Yazmin Zammit Stevens is, where she's come from. Your youth, basically.
Yes, it's funny because Yazmin Zammit Stevens is a very basic human being. A lot of people, yes,
Did you say basic?
such a basic girl. So I only started weightlifting when I was 22, and I'm turning 30 very soon. So
You're still very young.
yeah, so only 8 years ago. Before then, I was not an athlete. I always did sports, but I was not an athlete at all. I was in university studying to get a bachelor's degree in maths and statistics. However, I was always the odd one out. This sounds a bit sad, but I was always like the odd one out. Like I never truly fit in. I could see everyone around me at university be very passionate about what they were studying, and I just didn't get it. I mean, I was good at it, but I didn't get why we were talking about it in our break. I didn't get the passion from what we were doing like they did. And then if I met my friends and they'd be very passionate about other things, or everyone wants to go out and have fun over the weekend, I didn't really find that very, very fun. So I just felt like I never truly fit in anywhere.
Did you finish the degree?
I did finish the degree, barely, but I did finish the
Without
degree.
the passion too.
It was just it's such a forced thing.
That must have been hard though, right? When you're not into it, right?
Yes, I mean, but I did that for most of my life. I always try to do things to fit in because, that's the next step. So after you do your A-levels, you go to university. That's what everyone else does. And during my last year of university, I actually found CrossFit, which has a bit of weightlifting. And I instantly got obsessed with training. I'd go every single day and I'd only ever want to do the weightlifting part of it.
But before this, did you used to train or?
But just to be fit, go for long runs because that's what girls my age did,
But
to
hate
lose
running now,
weight.
right?
Absolutely hate running. I can't believe I did it. But it's what we did, you just worked out to lose weight and be, slimmer. I always loved working outdoors, did sports when I was younger. So it's not something that just happened to like all of a sudden. But I never had a sport. So then eventually when I found weightlifting through CrossFit and I was recognized for my strength, and I started to go to the gym and I started lifting heavy, and people around me enjoyed doing this as much as me. And we wanted to talk about how to get stronger together. We wanted to talk about, everyone around me wanted to talk about the things I wanted to talk about. And that's never happened before. So I felt like I found a community where I fit in, where I wasn't the weirdo who didn't want to do everything else.
So
Everyone
this
else wanted to
was
do.
kind of what planted the seed, or was there someone
1,000,000%.
who said, wow, you're really good at this, I think you should
Well,
take it a step further?
Not necessarily. I think just finding the community is what started it all. Finding a space where I could really, truly be myself started it all. I was instantly passionate about my training all of a sudden. But when I started specifically doing weightlifting, and the national team coach saw so much potential in me, it definitely sparked even more, I never had someone truly believe I could be great in that, in a sport or in anything else, really. So I
totally get what you say about the kind of sense of community in CrossFit. And one of the main reasons why I go and why I've remained is just that, the community, the nice vibe, the buzz that there is around the place. In football, you don't get that.
You know, I hear about this CrossFit all the time. I do work out, as you know. I mean, I'm not exactly what you'd call. I'm athletic underneath.
That's all that
Okay.
counts.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I'm athletic underneath. Okay. So CrossFit has always been something that intrigued me, but I don't know if I could do it. That's always my question. You said like you could start slow, you can do whatever, but I'm 140 kilos. I'm 49 years old.
Well, my dad started CrossFit when he was in his
Really?
50s, so you can do it.
You can
Do you
start.
want to do it?
I like working out.
personally
I like
don't.
training, honestly.
What impresses me about him is that he is a big guy, right? And the fact that he just wakes up every single morning at every single morning,
But
Yeah,
3
yeah,
times a week.
at 4:30 in the morning to go and train. For me, that's already a huge achievement.
Incredible, for sure. I mean, the dedication it takes, and that's
Yeah.
coming from an athlete who
Listen,
trains twice a day.
I've always had an athletic persona. I mean, I've been doing sports ever since I was a child. You know, I mean, started off with football, then I played rugby, got really good at rugby. Then I came to Malta, and all right, there was a period where I was transitioning and partying a lot, and there wasn't much training. But then, like in my 30s again, I picked it up, and since then I've always done regular exercise. But it's just I never managed to sustain it in a way where the diet was good, the training was good. You know, you have to work. I used to work nights. It was, there was a lot of different things that didn't work out.
And when you came back to Malta, you were playing rugby, right?
When I came
With
back here,
Cavalieri.
no, I didn't play with Cavs here. So I didn't play immediately when I came back. I started playing maybe 3 or 4 years after I got here, and then I played with there was a university team called Alligators, and then I played with Phoenicians.
Okay.
There was a club called, it doesn't exist anymore, but Phoenicians. And I
I
did that
remember
for another.
Phoenicians, and I remember
Yeah.
Alligators as well. The issue I find is that the rugby culture is not so in tune with, I don't know, what you'd see, for example, proper football professionalism. You know, there's a lot of beer drinking after.
But if you're talking about at the very top of the
No,
game,
of course. So, no.
But you're
What
talking
I meant
about
in Malta.
in Malta,
Yeah.
in Malta, there's no funds for it. There's a very small infrastructure. People do it. The people who are running it are all volunteers. You know, it's
But then the national
people do it
team
for
does decently well.
The national team does decently well, believe it or not. The reason for that, I mean, they have a good coach, number
They
one.
import a lot of foreigners.
They used to do
Foreign
that, not
multis.
so much anymore. They have a few still, but in the beginning they did that. They had some
There used to be
Australians who
some
came over.
Australian kicker who was really good.
Yeah, he was
Remember?
a rugby league player. Actually, I don't remember his name, but he was a rugby league player in Australia. But he came over here, converted to rugby union for the game. So
Okay.
I mean, they use that. I mean, football countries use that right
No,
now as well.
we do it as well. in
Yeah,
football.
yeah, absolutely. So anyway, yeah, rugby's just like that. You know, I enjoyed my time at rugby. That was fun. But maybe this is a part of
The culture.
the culture. Yeah, the culture. Yazmin, I'd like to go back 20 years with you.
Okay.
9 years old, Yazmin.
Wow.
Tell us a bit about 9-year-old Yazmin.
Again, always quite a strange child, not in a bad way, but like I was always very particular. Always wanted to play with the boys, you know, only hang out with my boy cousins, and always wanted to run around, play outside. Never had too many friends, but have had like a few very good friends.
Which is all you need.
Which is all you need. And I was incredibly shy, believe it or not. Like up until a few years ago, an incredibly shy person who could barely speak in public or speak to people, you know, like
Really?
this, sitting
Okay.
down. Yes, incredibly shy.
Well, you've
In fact,
changed, yeah.
yes, what sport does that to you. And again, like it's
Yeah.
what we said before. I had to go from being a very shy human being to, you know, standing on a platform in front of a lot of people and lift a lot of weight. So
Yeah.
you kind of develop some type of confidence. But yes, I was always a sporty child, outgoing in that sense. Like I always wanted to do stuff, do activities. But nothing, I never showed. My sisters would disagree. Like Jade would definitely disagree.
How many sisters do you
I
have?
have two sisters, a
sisters,
younger and an older one. I just always felt like I was never great at anything.
Okay.
But my sister, Jade especially, always disagrees. She always tells me, it's not true, you're always good at everything you did. Maybe not the best, you were good at everything you did. And I see what she meant is that, like, I always did well at school, always, you know, top of the class, but not like the top.
Yeah.
I was always very creative, always knew how to draw and you know, like make stuff, but not like the best at it. But I was always very decent at everything, but never the best at something.
Okay.
And that's, I think, where the sport girl came out, because that's where I always showed the most potential in a way. I was always the strongest, the fastest. So
Okay.
I was always the sporty child.
You seem, in our discussions, you seem a bit hard on yourself. Would you say that you're a person who's very hard on yourself?
1,000,000%.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think my dad probably.
Really?
Yes.
Was he strict or?
Very strict, but
Right.
in the best way. Like
Okay.
I credit both my parents 1,000,000% for the person I am today, for the successes I have today, for everything I've accomplished. I credit them 1,000,000% because whenever I did something great when I was younger, let's say I did really well in a maths exam, if I got like 98, my dad would always be like, great, but where did you lose those 2
Yeah.
marks? Let's like make that improvement. Never in like a bad way, but he'd always never let me lose sight of how much better I can become. And this was across everything I did. And because of that, I think everything I do, I'm never too happy with, because I want to become better. I won't beat myself up for it. I will be proud of what I've accomplished, but I'll always think, okay, what do I do next
Yeah.
to be even better? And that stems from my parents for sure.
I think the important thing you said about that is that you don't beat yourself up about
Yeah.
it, because there are many people who have that mindset, always want to be better, always need to do more. I'm one of those people. I still haven't found a lot of satisfaction in my life because I just feel it's not good enough. I need to be doing better. I need to be doing all the time, all the time, all the time. What you have is that balance where you can say, I know I need to strive constantly. However, I'm going to enjoy the journey as I go along. And I think that's
Yeah.
very, very important.
And it's so hard to do that. I think being a weightlifter over the past 8 years, for a very long time in the initial part of it, I did lose track of that. I didn't enjoy, you know, going to my first Europeans, going to my first Worlds, because I was looking so much into the future that I forgot to sit and just take it all in, because you don't know if you're going to get that opportunity again. And when I went to my first like big games, I remember I was so panicked and I was so focused on the competition to come that in the opening ceremony, I have like zero memory of it. And I just felt so bad, because I thought, what if this was the only games I'd ever do?
Yeah.
So the next games I went to, I made sure to like really soak it in,
I can
like,
really
soak up
relate
the
to this.
energy.
The you know, always looking into the future. In fact, you and I, in our
Yes.
sessions, we had discussed this a lot. Always looking into the future, and there's a big chunk of my career that, for me, I don't really remember it.
I think a lot of people who have, I don't know, a fast career, a fast life, a lot of expectation, I think that happens.
Yes.
I'm the same. I mean, people ask me, I got people who come up to me, like people I was working with either in the media or 20 years ago. Hey, Oz, you remember? And I'm like,
No.
no clue, man. Absolutely no idea. So I think it's a common thing, isn't it?
For me, it was really much like you've played one game and then you don't take that time to sit and enjoy it. So if you've won or performed well, right, you don't sit down and enjoy it. It's always looking at what you've done wrong and focusing on the next one to improve.
Which is important.
Yeah, it is
but
important.
We
but
forget
then,
to appreciate what we've done. Eh?
sure, and that is how we burn out. And I burnt out so many times during my career because I had this mentality of the next one, more, give me more. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? But I didn't really take that time to take it all in. And sports is especially if you have a career, sports is a lovely time in your life, you know, and it should be one of the best parts of your life. But I look back and I don't get that satisfaction.
And I relate to that to a certain part of my career. I think towards the end, and again, my parents played a big part of this, when they saw that I was burning out, not enjoying it as much anymore, they would always suggest, like, just take a second and take in your environment. Like, when you're on stage, take a second and realize where you are. And I think the most fun I've ever had is in the last competitions, the competition we worked together with before, which is the Commonwealth Games. And even just looking at the pictures and the videos of it, they're my favorite because you I just remember it so clearly, and I can see all the videos of me having the time of my life on the platform, and you watch these videos and everyone feels good about it because you can tell I'm having the time of my life. Whereas if you watch a video of me from another competition, I lift, my head is down, and I'm like running off.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
I'm so glad I have this last competition I did, and I have this footage, because it's probably the footage I will show my kids one day, not the ones where I'm like running off stage.
I remember you.
For
competing
sure.
it, and the scream at the end.
I mean, that was one of the
full
main
joy,
things
right?
we worked on, is me enjoying the process
Yeah.
even more.
But even our meetings were fun as well. They
Yes.
weren't meetings where we sat down and we just spoke about, oh my god.
Can we get a little insight into how these meetings go? I think it's important, right? Can you share? I mean, I don't know
Of
if there's
course, no, I'm
client
totally
confidentiality. I don't know how that works.
No,
but
it's. I mean, in my opinion, it's fine.
Yes, totally.
just a little. You don't have to tell us the nitty gritty details, but just a little bit about how it goes. You've got an athlete. An athlete wants to perform better.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a professional athlete is tough. It's constant pressure. It's constant work. So how do you sort of approach that?
I mean, initially, really simply, we sit down and explore certain scenarios that are going on in her life and in her sporting life, and try and take out the bits that make more sense to me, basically. And the one in her situation was something that related a lot to me, in the sense of not being able to enjoy the moment, right? Not having that ability to step back and really enjoy and take in what's going on around her. The fact that there's a certain expectation built up around her. Obviously, she's a big name now,
Yeah.
that kind of puts blinkers or let's say a mask over the eyes of everything that's going on.
Yeah, and
You
that was
agree
like,
with that,
yeah, so one of the main reasons I can't even remember like how I reached out or whatever, but I had gotten to a point where I just did not enjoy competing anymore. I liked the training part of it, but as soon as a competition was coming up, I hated it. Like, I did not want to do it anymore. It just created so much. I am an anxious person, a very anxious person, and it just got worse as I got deeper into my sport. And especially after the Olympic Games. So the Olympic Games was probably the peak of my anxiety, where I still say I have some PTSD from the Olympic Games. Like, it is the most special part of my career, but also the biggest, scariest thing I've ever had to do. And it still has a massive effect on me. Like, I think about me being on stage at the Olympics and I still get like goosebumps. Like, I don't want to be back up
It's
there.
a big platform.
It's
a lot of pressure. Yeah.
something I was not completely mentally prepared for. And I say this, my association, my federation did everything they could to prepare me for it. And believe me, they did everything.
Yeah.
So for me to still mentally not be prepared, I was a bit like disappointed in myself. But as we worked together, I kind of realized that I had to give myself credit. I mean, I'm coming from a tiny island. I had been doing the sports when I was 22. It's not like something I did since I was a child. And I was thrown on the biggest, platform in the world. And I was the first female Maltese person to do it in my sport. So I just felt tremendous pressure. And I got super numb on stage, and I could barely feel the barbell. And when you're lifting weights, you kind of want to.
Yeah.
So that was like a traumatic experience for me, and I needed to come back from it. Like, I remember a time when I absolutely loved competing, and that was the whole thing I spoke about mostly. Like, is it possible for me to get back to that? Will I get on stage and enjoy it ever again? Because it's sad that I don't. It's so sad that when a competition is coming up, instead of being pumped and excited as much as my followers are, as much as my audience is,
You're fearful.
that I want something to go wrong so that I don't go. Like, that's the extremity of what it had become. And the Commonwealth Games were coming up, and I said, listen, I want to go on stage. It's a sold out stadium. People are coming from Malta and the UK specifically to watch me. And I want to be there with the audience. I want to enjoy it. I want to put on a show, because that was like my whole image. I loved putting on a show. And that was like one of the main things we worked on. Like, how am I going to calm down my anxiety? How am I going to start enjoying this process again? And you know, I don't know. That's mostly what we worked towards.
Would you, honestly, now you have to be completely, would you recommend Andrew or not?
No. Well, if you watch the videos of me at the Commonwealth Games and compare them to the Olympics, I think that's proof enough.
There you go. Well done, chef. Well
Cheers,
done.
No, actually, it was a really nice experience. You know, the sessions with Yaz, and many times what we'd do is I'd ask her to describe to me the elements of competing that she used to really love.
Okay.
You know, I wanted her to go back into her brain, kind of thing, and envision those moments and reconnect again with the tiny, like, minute elements of what has brought me here. What do I love about this?
Yeah, that's super. I've been thinking about it myself lately as well. You know, obviously my radio career ended a few years ago now. And I thought back to the very beginning stages when I used to enjoy it so much, because it was just purely it wasn't just being on the microphone. There was so much more to being on the radio. There was, back then we had the adverts, we had to do it with the 8-track machine, so you'd have to prepare your ad breaks with like this stack of adverts, and you'd have to put one in, press play, the next one will be lined up, and then when that one's finished you pull it out, and in the meantime you're preparing the next CD for the next song, and you're checking all your script stuff, and it was
Hold
amazing.
on. When you say 8 tracks, tapes.
Yeah,
The one you with the pen and you have to.
No. It was like it was like a cartridge. All right, this technology was actually pre-cassette. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is when I was started. This is like in the mid '90s, right? And how old were you? When were you born?
93.
I'm so fucking old. 93, 20 years. I'm 20 years older. Okay. And you would have these cartridges, and you just stick it in, press play, and you'd have the CD player. It was just, there was so much to it. It was so enjoyable. And in the last, when I was with Jay, especially for the last 10 years, he would do most of the technical side because he was actually very good at it, and I would just be sitting there preparing content and doing that. And I'm actually thinking, and if anybody ever watches this podcast in the radio industry, if you're looking for a DJ to do one show a week but old school, you know, preparing everything, I'm in. I'll do one show a week, man, just for the fun of it, and I'll charge you 1 cent per show.
Jay still had hair, no, back then.
No, Jay never had hair since.
He never had hair?
No. Jay was, he showed me some pictures of when he was young, and he had an impressive mullet. Seriously, he had a mullet, yeah. But he was, ever since I knew him, he was bald. I think I feel really bad for bald people. I know a bunch of them. They're really conscious about it. I've never met a bald person who's not conscious about it. Honestly, it's a real thing. Yeah, it's a real thing.
So yes, tell me a bit. What was the conversation or how did the conversation go with your parents the moment you went up to them and said, "Hey, I'm going to become a weightlifter"?
Good question. Yeah.
So that's actually a great
Ooh,
conversation.
this is gonna be juicy. She went, so
because my dad is in the educational field industry. He was an assistant head back then, eventually became head principal, and he's now director general of, you know, so you can imagine education is a massive part of our life, very important part of our life. And at that time I was graduating from my BSc in maths and statistics. And my dad was always telling me, oh, you know, you're going to get so many job opportunities. Make sure, you know, to immediately start applying, start looking for a job, like, work hard. We have this very, you know, work hard mentality. But my dad is also an athlete himself.
Okay.
So back then,
what kind of athlete can I ask?
He used to do just a long distance running, but eventually went into triathlon and also did the Ironman around 4 times, I believe. So
wow. Okay.
Yes, an insane athlete. So he did understand being an athlete as well. So when I was about to graduate, I decided that maybe I should try a summer of doing weightlifting full time and seeing where it takes me. Like, not applying for a job, not doing anything except train like an athlete. Like, do it all out or not at all.
And at this time, you're about 23, 22?
22, turning 23, something like this. And I sat him down. Well, I think I had turned 23 already because I had already dabbled in some weightlifting, of course. And at this point, keep in mind, I wasn't even like the best in Malta yet. Like, so I had no business thinking I was gonna become anything, but I sat my dad down. I was like, listen, I was thinking, what if I do a summer not applying for a job? What if I try do weightlifting full time? And his reaction was very different to what I thought, because I thought he was going to tell me, like, don't waste time. You have this degree now. You worked so hard. But his reply was like, well, if you don't do it now, you're never really going to do it. Eh? So, as in, don't do it in 10 years' time. You're going to have to do it now. If you're going to try this out, try it out now. Do it for the summer. See where it takes you. But he said, like, but if you're going to do it properly. Like, don't waste time. Like, we're with that mentality.
I feel like giving your dad a hug. You know?
No, I'm telling you, both my parents are a massive part of, like, my success story.
Amazing.
And through that summer, I worked so hard. I qualified for my first international, broke a national record. And then, my dad was like, okay, then maybe do it for the rest of the year, see where it takes you. And it just kept going on and on, more successful. And it brought just my family closer in the sense that we became an athlete family. And everyone's respect for me as an athlete just skyrocketed. Like, everyone in my family, including both my sisters, all of a sudden just had my back like never before. We were always very close, but obviously I was not working, and it's an unfunded thing. So everyone started helping out. It's insane because, like, my sisters never got jealous that I got a bit of extra attention from my parents because I was the athlete. If anything, they just helped out themselves as well. Like, my younger sister bought me my laptop because I was going abroad on training camps and I had no way to spend my time or Skype them or whatever. So she bought me my laptop instead of, like, being like, why is everyone giving Yaz all this attention?
That's pretty special.
It's incredible. It's incredible. My family is a massive part of my success story. Without them, I might have definitely been like, this is too much. But they made sure I never felt that way.
Yeah.
And I think especially with the success of athletes, I mean, not only athletes, but successful people in general, I think they need to have that kind of family with the ideology of, listen, go and achieve your dreams. Like, we're behind you. I wasn't the most successful footballer on the planet, but my parents, especially my dad, I say my dad because every time I say that, my mom gets pissed off. My mom, I love you. You are amazing. Okay. But my dad, I always remember him telling me, look, if you don't try now, you're never going to know, believe in yourself. And I find that there are too many maybe parents who are either in it for the wrong reasons or in it living vicariously through their children, maybe because of what maybe they haven't achieved in the past, or just quite negative with regards to the whole athletic career.
For sure, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like,
Nice.
I'm actually now doing a master's degree in PE and sports because I love school. I'm just doing it a bit more in a field that I love now. And I'm writing a dissertation at the moment, and it's about parental involvement in elite Maltese athletes, because I genuinely believe that they are a massive part of athlete success. Because every other athlete at a high level that I speak to have a similar story to mine, where they think, listen, if it weren't for my sister, for my mom, for my dad, for whoever, but if it wasn't for someone within their family that gave them their full support, they feel like they wouldn't have actually made it to where they are.
But there's also a line that parents can't
there's the
cross.
over-involvement.
Yeah,
there.
helicopter parenting.
1,000,000%. So there's like 3 stages of involvement. Obviously, the under-involved, the over-involved. We need the moderately involved parents. And that's where you hit the mark.
Yeah.
It's the moderate, like you said, the overly involved ones are maybe in it for the wrong reasons. They're living through their children, maybe because they didn't make it in their sport and they're trying to make them make
And
it
at
in
the
the
same
sport.
time, the overly involved parents are reducing the ability to problem solve, solution for stuff like that. And to be a successful athlete, these are all part of your toolkit.
Yes, for sure.
To be autonomous, to make up your own mind.
Oh, yes,
I've
for
seen
sure.
so many parents who are just on top of their child athlete. Like, unfortunately,
it's
it's
such a fine line between being there and being there way too much in a way. Like, you have to, and it is difficult for a parent as well. Like, I remember if I had like a very bad competition, my parents would give me the space, let me reflect on my competition first. And then maybe the next day be like, do you want to talk about it? What went wrong? Is there anything that you think you could have done better? Anything we could do to help? Like, that's what I needed. I didn't need someone to instantly go, what did you do? What was that? Like that wouldn't help me.
In fact, I deal with a lot of parents as well. And a lot of them are surprised when we talk about the conversations that they should be having with their kids in the car on the way or coming back from a competition, right? Usually I get some of their feedback, and it's a bit more along the lines of, why did you do this wrong, or why didn't you do this, or how many goals have you scored today, did you guys win? Where it should more be along the lines of, have you had fun? How much fun have you had today? What do you think? How well could it go? How well could you play? I mean, putting positives and planting the seed of positives in their head, kind of thing. It's not all.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's not just sports, just with sports people, but most successful people have always had that foundation, right? That foundation of family that has helped them throughout their entire journey, and not in an overbearing way, is it? Because I've seen, you're right, there are parents who are like that, but in a supportive way, and I think that's the key to success for a lot of people. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I mean, I've been listening to both of you talk about your families, and I'm just completely and totally jealous, and I hope you understand how lucky you are.
Oh yes,
because there are a lot of people out there, myself included, who just never had it. And still to this day, I mean, I get choked up when I hear people talking about their families, because I'm so jealous. There's a part of me that's just so jealous that I never had it. So I'm glad you had it, and it's a wonderful thing, and I'm trying to do that for my children now. And that's the important thing of life.
For sure.
Don't ever take for granted what you have.
I always credit them. I will never ever be told, well done for everything that you did. You're so special. You worked so hard. I always say, listen, I've been incredibly lucky.
Yeah.
It's not just Yaz.
It's a bit of
Yaz
both,
and her team.
Yeah,
but it's Yaz without her team.
Yeah.
Never made it. And this extends to outside my family, having people that helped me along the journey.
Yeah.
These little 1% coming from all directions have made me come to where I am now, made me get the success that I have now, and maybe the person that I am now. I know that without all of these people in my team, even one of them, I might have not been at this point at the moment. And I will forever be super grateful for every single person.
So wonderful.
Yeah.
So wonderful. The Olympic Games. It's a big thing, right? It's a
so
big thing. It's a
So
huge
big.
thing, right?
Yes, massive.
So you must have been severely overwhelmed at times leading up to and during, right?
So leading up to it, I had the best time. I had gone through a very bad time the year before, so when the Olympics were meant to happen in 2020. I had a bit of an identity crisis that year because, of course, that is all I was doing. Keep in mind that at the time I was not a content creator. I was not on social media that much. I had zero income from anywhere. I had no career. Being a weightlifter was my only identity. So when COVID said, okay, all athletes need to just stay at home, competitions cancelled, Olympics cancelled, I went through such a tough time of just trying to identify who Yazmin was without weightlifting. And it was a wake-up call for me that, listen, I love being an athlete. And I am Yazmin Zammit Stevens, the weightlifter. But I'm sure there's so much more to me. And I need to find that, because this is breaking my heart. Like, I couldn't understand who I was.
If you could describe Yazmin in maybe 3 words, right? Who she is when she's not an athlete.
So 100% very positive, passionate, and influential. I would describe myself as that.
And okay, and you talk about your social media and your journey so far, the interaction you have with your followers, right? To be very, very authentic. If you look further than that, what is, in your opinion, your mission in life, your meaning, kind of thing? What are you trying to project out there?
So I can very clearly say this because I think about this all the time. What I mostly want to do is give off positivity, like make people believe in themselves as much as I was believed in through my career. And it doesn't matter in which industry. Like, even at the moment, like when I go into the gym with the people I have around me at the moment I'm training with, that's the only energy I give off. I want to give positive, good energy and make people around me feel good. Like that is 100% my mission. And that's what I try to do through social media. Like, I'm not just trying to show people what I'm doing, what I'm lifting and all and whatever, but I want them to understand that I am exactly like them and I have been through a lot through my weightlifting career. And if they believe in themselves, and I believe in absolutely everyone who follows me, and I will give them all the I don't know, tips and tricks that they need, and I'll be there by their side, even if it's through like a virtual post, then I will definitely be there. Like I just want to be an overall very positive human being. I think that's the main thing I want, because again, I spoke to you about this a lot, but unfortunately, being around negative energy is what breaks me the most and what broke me the most in the past. Being told I'm not the best, I'm not good enough, I'm not ever going to account too much. And I don't know, the negativity is what broke me the most in the past.
Were there a lot of these types of people that you were surrounded by?
I wouldn't say a lot. And there are a lot more positive people around me, but I am an anxious person, and sometimes it just takes one negative comment, and it's not just me, it happens to a lot of us. It takes one negative comment and it'll break you for a very long time. And I did go through a very like rough time during this time I'm talking about, so pre-Olympics, during COVID. And I just needed some positivity, which I didn't find as such in my life at that point. And I started working with a sports psychologist at that point. That brought me back on my feet. I did stop training for a little while, and that's the only time I've ever stopped training in my entire life.
Was that hard or?
It was what I needed, I think. Mentally, I was all over the place and I needed to like refocus.
When your identity is so connected to the sport that you do, the moment that you have to stop is tragic. You know? And that's why I tell all my athletes how important it is to have what we call multiple identities. So I can be Andrew Hogg, the football player, or the former football player, but at the same time I'm Andrew Hogg, the student. I'm Andrew Hogg, the father.
Yes,
it's important
to
connect
so
to
I
these.
never realized how important it was until I had to go through that.
Because the old mentality was, you're a professional, you have to think about your sport 100% or you won't succeed. When technically you're giving your full attention, your full focus in your training sessions, etc. But then if you're training for 4 hours a day, there are 20 or more hours.
Exactly.
So what exactly are you doing?
Yeah,
That's
so
a good point.
that's the point where I applied to do a master's degree, because I know that I love, learning. So why not? It's still in the industry, sports industry. I started doing things I liked, like sketching again. And I don't know, I started to just become a bit more of the older Yazmin in sync with the athlete Yazmin. And then beginning of 2021, everything started to look a lot more positive. I competed at Europeans and broke another national record, and it was a while since I had done that. The Olympics started to seem like they were going to happen. Eventually, they were going to happen. I was on point with my training because I always trained like I was for sure going to the Olympics, just in case. And I got the news that I was going to the Olympics. Went there, broke a national record on stage as well. It was just like, it just peaked at the right time. And I was, again, very lucky enough to have everyone around me make sure that I got there in the best state possible. So the build up to the Olympics was great. Like, it was all positive. Of course, I was terrified.
Yeah. It's a big
Absolutely
thing.
terrified.
But you did it.
But I did it. Like, I still find it so hard to believe sometimes. Like, I can't believe. I don't know. Sometimes I'll just be at home and my mom would just be telling a random person, as you do, that her daughter's an Olympia, and I keep thinking, that's so weird. Like, how on
Amazing.
earth
And
have I
how
become?
rare for this island.
Yes,
How
exactly.
rare.
After the Olympics, I mean, I'm saying this in because I'm relating it to something that kind of happened to me and something that I ended up struggling with. You perform on the biggest stage, and then after.
So there's like this whole phenomenon, I would say, like where you peak and then you get like
A crash.
yeah, like a crash in your I don't know, feel good factor, and a lot of athletes went through that. I personally have to admit, I think I had been through so much the year before. There's no coming down from that. Like I didn't experience that. I had competed at the biggest competition in the world, performed well, and when I came back, I was totally fine. Like I did not experience that. I can understand people who would go through that, but I think personally, because I was so fully prepared mentally to just for that to be the absolute peak competition of my life, that I was already prepared for it to be less of a what do you say, like
A calm down.
yeah, I guess. But also I think what helped even more is that I got more praise after the Olympics. Like it didn't get any less.
Yeah.
I just got more and more well known after the Olympics, and I started, my career took off, with content creating. I got signed with Gymshark, with all these major brands, and my career took off as well.
So it's not like you had the best moment of your life and
And then
all of a
everything
sudden,
just went sour.
everything was
No.
taken away from you and
Yeah.
you disappeared into obscurity.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
No. And I guess obviously I was prepared for it, because when I came back from the Olympics, my work didn't stop, and I still continued my training. I knew I wanted to start working in content. So I had found a manager before the Olympics, and I had told him, when I come back from the Olympics, that's where the work starts.
Cool.
So when I came back from Tokyo, literally the second day I was back in Malta, we had a meeting and we started looking for brands.
You see, so you had something to jump back into, something that was exciting.
Yes,
something.
1,000,000%. Yes.
I want to say this story. So people may know that I played in Wembley Stadium, right?
You did?
Yeah, didn't you know?
What position?
And I was lucky enough to play really well. And but seriously, when I came back from that, performing well, coming back to Malta and some of the sad stadiums that we ended up playing, and all the kind of, nothing really takes you back up there. And as a human being, I was trying to recreate that buzz again, and you can't.
I can understand what you're saying.
And mentally I wasn't ready, and then I had in my mind, I thought that everyone's expectation was that I had to perform to that level again, and I just could. In fact, I couldn't
Everyone's
recreate it.
expectations or yours?
No, my expectation was that everyone expected me to play at that level again.
So it was your expectation.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it just sent me on a downhill spiral,
Oh,
downward spiral.
definitely, like, can relate in that sense where, you're thinking, okay, what's the next big competition? What's the next big thing you're gonna do? What's next for you? And that's one of the main things I'm always asked. So yes, what's next for you? You're an Olympian now. What's next? And it's like, I think, again, working with you, I kind of realized that I was only seeing what's next because everyone was expecting something to be next for me. But what did I want to be next for me? So many people always ask me, so Paris now, right? And I go, actually, no, I don't think so. Actually, like, that's not my next aim. My next aim is, another Commonwealth Games, because I've done the Olympics. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I will never medal at the Olympics. I will never be close to medaling at the Olympics. I'm going to be very realistic in what I can do, and I can do very well at the Commonwealth Games, which is a massive event. So I'm going to be realistic. No, I'm probably going to focus on Commonwealth Games, but it's annoying to have so many people constantly expect stuff from you. So I can understand what you're saying, but I think from our work together, I've become a lot more like forgiving in that sense. Like I forgive myself in a way to not be this absolute insanely incredible athlete who constantly just peaks and becomes better. Like, I'm a bit more forgiving with that. Sure. I'm a bit more, you know what, I came back from the Olympics. I had the first break in my life. I had a 4-day break. You know, I went on holiday.
How dare you?
How dare
How
I?
dare you?
You know, but I've allowed myself to be a normal human being. Keep in mind that pre-Olympics, I hadn't had alcohol for 4 years. I hadn't been to a social event in years. I had missed all my family's weddings, never did
You have to be
anything with
dedicated,
them.
don't
No
you? Yeah.
Christmas lunches, no birthdays, nothing. I did that for 4 years. I was going to enjoy a Christmas when
So
I came
wait,
back.
these Christmas lunches, you wouldn't even go, or you would go
So,
and you'd have your
I would either
pre-prepared
go
meals,
with my like chicken breast and my lunchbox and be
chicken
These were-
breast and rice. Is that-
literally. But I always felt like I was just bringing everyone down because everyone was having their drinks and I'd just be there like, you know, water and. You know, I just felt like I was just bringing the party down.
That
So
was
I'd
probably
rather-
in your mind, though,
It
rather
was.
than anybody
It was.
else's.
So,
right?
but I'd rather just not be there. So a lot of the times I just wasn't there.
Do you regret that now?
Not at all.
No.
I have zero regrets from
Zero?
regrets from pre-Olympics because I do think that that's what eventually led me to actually get there. So yeah, I know I definitely have no regrets whatsoever about anything that I did.
Ever in life, or just
Pre-Olympics.
Pre-Olympics?
I really have regrets though.
Really? Name one. Come on, give us a juicy one.
know.
One juicy regret.
Oh my god, I honestly don't know. I genuinely live my life making sure I have no regrets. Maybe dyeing my hair red once.
So that's
I
not
hated it.
when someone says maybe, it's a definite. I regret that, right?
I regret dyeing my hair red. I remember like looking in the
Do you have
mirror
any
and being-
pictures of that?
I do.
Go
I can
on. Where's
find
your
them.
phone?
Oh, right next to
Show
me.
us a picture.
So red hair Yaz was just like
What, you felt weird with it, or it didn't?
I
suit
don't
you?
know. I'm just not.
What was the reason behind the red
So
hair?
I used to
This
get
is-
any hair color in the
Right.
world, basically. I've had every hair color in the world. Do you see how high up I'm swiping right now?
Yeah, it's a while ago, was it?
It was. It was a while ago.
You must be doing okay in life if your only regret is having red hair. Once
I
upon
know.
a
That's
time, right?
it's great that that's my regret, right?
I could list my regrets on like 500 pages. I think.
Oh my god, that's so bad. No, so
You have regret
that's
of
actually
today?
a main thing for me, like to do.
Today regret?
A today regret? Do I? What you mean? Right now? Do I have any regrets from this day?
Yeah, from today.
It's a super question. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, well, I think it looks crackingly good. You don't think you look good?
Well, apparently lots of people thought
That's
so. But I
pretty
think,
hot in that picture, I gotta
thank
say.
You, thank
Yeah.
you. But I think because I have freckles, I couldn't. Like I just could not.
Very quickly, you have to send us that because we're going to pop it up on the screen
Of
when we're
course I
talking
will.
about it.
Don't
Make sure to send.
worry.
Don't be embarrassed. You look
I
great.
will not.
right?
I mean, you can find that picture online anyway.
But I like to get permission from people before we use their private images.
Private. Yeah, I mean, no, I just, I mean, I didn't cry about it.
Yeah.
Maybe just a little bit, but like,
That's the regret.
that's my regret, I think.
I don't know, maybe you can agree with it. You sound pretty well balanced. Would you say that you're a well balanced individual?
Nowadays, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
agree.
Nowadays, yes.
from getting to know you more, I really feel she's getting married soon.
You're getting married.
Next
Congratulations.
year, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you tell us a bit about your partner?
He's the best.
He's the best.
He's one of the main reasons I'm a well-balanced human being.
Okay.
So imagine the most opposite person character to me, and that's him.
There.
1,000,000%. Just to give you an idea of how different we are. On St. Patrick's Day, like 2-3 days ago, I was driving back from my physiotherapist in Slema, and it was like all the roads are
Chaos, yeah.
closed, it's chaotic, and I call him, I'm like, I'm trying to get out of Slema. This is like so chaotic. Who does this? Who always wants to come to like Slema to drink? Like this is so depressing. Who does that? Like I couldn't understand.
Where
I
are
could
you?
not.
I'm here, Ta.
He literally said, "Oh, I was literally calling you to tell you I'm on my way to Slema to celebrate St. Patrick's." I was like, "What? We're so different."
What does he do?
That's
But
his
that
idea
works,
of fun.
right?
So he's a barber. He owns a barber shop.
He owns a barber shop. How
Yes.
cool is that?
Really
Okay.
cool. So we are insanely opposite, but in sync at the same time. It's very hard to explain. A lot of people know us individually and can never understand how it works until they see us together. I think we balance each other out very well.
Do you live together?
Not yet.
Not
Very
yet.
soon. I think we're moving in next.
You should
I-
do it before you get married, just
Yes,
to test
yes.
it out,
Yes.
because it's
but
very
we're moving
different.
in together next week. We've been together for 8 years. Yes.
Wow, that's
Yes.
nice. That's
Yes, it's very nice. It's very sweet.
obviously something is working.
Yes, yes. I mean, he's been the best through the journey. So he's been with me since before I was a weightlifter.
Yeah.
And it was obviously a massive adaptation for him to go from a person who's not an athlete and not well known at all to, this person who's very well known now, is an athlete, had to adjust to the life of an athlete. But he's never made me feel bad about having to leave the country for 6 months to train. If anything, he would see how we're going to make it work, make sure to visit me. And he's been my biggest supporter as well, along with everyone else.
So how far along are you with the wedding?
Well, to be fair, the day after, as you can imagine,
Preparations.
the day after I got proposed to, I almost had already planned it all out.
Oh, quite sure. Does he have any say in anything that's
He
going to
does.
happen? Really?
He does, yes, and he's very vocal about it, which I love. Like, I don't know, he if I pick one song for the ceremony, he'll pick like first dance. Like, I don't want to go to my our wedding and have it be only the things I chose.
Isma, if you need a good DJ, I think I know one.
Oh,
Good ear promotions.
Goodyear
All right.
Entertainment. Goodyear Entertainment.
Lovely.
His name's Michael. He's also our producer. He's our
Great.
producer of this as well, and he's a super guy. Goodyear Entertainment. If you, we're gonna give him a plug now, right? Because we always keep forgetting. Sorry, Mike. If you're planning any event and you need any equipment, you need DJs, sound, lighting, anything you need, Michael will sort you out. Check him out. Goodyear Entertainment. We'll have some graphics and stuff.
Come on, Mike, you don't need this promotion, no?
Not really.
You're a public person, konta tajli.
I have as many followers, but
Konta najla, go.
it's a different niche.
Maybe.
St. Patrick, she hates it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the people that follow me might love it. I don't know.
The thing about Mike is why I'm never worried about him in terms of promoting him is because I see him walking down the street and there's like hundreds of euros falling out of his pocket. That giggle.
So tell us about Gymshark and how that all worked
Oh my
out.
god, that was a dream come
Because
It's a
true.
big
Wait, because
brand.
I was
It's a big
explaining
brand.
to us, the Gymshark whole thing, and you didn't know who Gymshark were.
Yeah, ish.
Since I had to explain basically that they are
A lot of people have to explain a lot of things to me these days.
So Gymshark was like the first brand I signed with post Olympics. I met with my manager Snorri from before Olympics. He's
Did you say
Icelandic.
snoddy?
Snorri.
Snorri,
Yeah.
okay.
So he's Icelandic.
Right.
Emphasis on the R. That's why Snorri.
Snorri, okay.
He manages Sarah Sigmund's daughter, who is one of the greatest CrossFitters in the world, who's also Icelandic, and a bunch of other like top listed athletes. So when he reached out and said he wanted to be my manager, I was like, well, good luck. Let's see if you can get me any brands, because I don't know. Especially locally, it's not like being a content creator and working with brands isn't really a full-time gig. So after the Olympics, he said, okay, if you had to choose one brand, like apparel brand that you would want to work with. And I like jokingly said, well, if you get Gymshark, I'll like die, because I am obsessed with Gymshark. Like I had, put money aside from like what my sisters would like lend me or whatever to buy like a Gymshark set. I was obsessed with it. And he said, okay, I know a guy. I was like, okay, Snorri, like go ahead. He calls me like two days later. He's like, okay, I have a meeting with Gymshark. I said, as if what? Like I couldn't believe it. Had this meeting, was like so impressed about like the team at Gymshark. We really like were in sync. We shared the same values. And it was just a great meeting. And I've been working with them now for 2 years,
Because
going into my third.
Before Gymshark, you used to put your costumes together yourself.
Well,
your
yes.
kit. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm imagining.
It's not carnival, my friend.
I'm imagining her in her bedroom. Like, remember Batman in the beginning with the Veleda gloves and
Oh my God. So
the mask.
Now I get what you're saying. So we compete in a singlet, which is like a one piece.
Yeah.
And because I had like this fugly singlet, I used to like just like remove certain areas, cinch it in another area, and like just make it a bit more girly.
Right.
And I am, even though I'm a weightlifter, I'm like such a girly girl in the sense where I would compete with massive gold earrings, full makeup, hair on fleek,
You compete
in massive earrings. Yes, for sure. So when after a year of working with Gymshark, they said, let's make you a singlet for the Commonwealth Games and you get to design it. And I was like,
Heaven.
Gymshark, please. Like, what did I do to deserve you? And they did. They did exactly what I said. I said I wanted to look like Mrs. Incredible, but like in black. And honestly, if you look at the singlet, I look like Mrs. Incredible.
Okay, that's another picture you're gonna have to get
I
us to
do.
pop up.
Oh my god, I looked like a superhero. That's what I wanted.
no Velleda gloves.
No Velleda glove. Oh, that would
Do
be
they make them in
amazing.
black?
I wonder.
But the weightlifters don't wear gloves, mate.
No, we
If
don't.
you know anything about the sport, Jesus, Andrew.
Listen, you wouldn't go into like yes, I get it. You wouldn't go into a CrossFit competition and just be the weapon of weightlifting.
So I get asked that question quite a bit. Like people just want me to like be in their team to do all the weightlifting stuff. And in the beginning of this year, I took a mini break from weightlifting. It's like 4 months. It's the longest break I've ever taken because I wanted to take a step back to eventually take more steps forwards. And I did CrossFit in those 4 months. And I cannot understand how people do it willingly. Like out of, they
It's
want
hard, eh?
they do it because they want to. Like I
Is it
hated
that hard?
it.
It's like
Today I had
Wait. It's not because it's hard, because I do weightlifting, so that's hard as well. It's more like
the pump,
Oh,
il pompa,
my
the lungs.
my lungs were about to explode every single time.
Yeah.
But I never liked running or, I prefer lifting heavy. That's my go-to.
Today we had 10 rounds of 10 shoulder to overheads, decently heavy. I'm not gonna say because for you it will be pussy like, but
Go on, you have to
Today-
tell us now.
go on.
45.
Oh, that's nothing.
10 rounds of 10.
I'm joking. No,
and then
it adds
and
up.
then
It adds
and
up.
then 50 double unders.
Surely
with
you
1
can-
minute break.
Horrible.
You can you double under?
I can.
All right, type.
I can do most things in CrossFit except for like the gymnastic stuff.
You can't muscle up.
No.
No
I
idea
did
what
I did
they're
a
talking
ring
about.
muscle up
No idea what they're talking
last. I did a few ring muscle ups last
No
week
idea.
until I got really tired and lost my balance and flew forward,
Of
and
course
then
you did.
I felt crack in my elbow.
Mike,
Elbow
do you have
straight,
any
yeah.
idea what they're talking about?
But
No idea, right?
but
Okay.
every time I manage a gymnastic movement, I'm like over the moon.
It's true. I always liked to. Well, I did gymnastics for 7 years, so it's things I've done when I was younger. But my legs weigh like 100 kilos on their own, so I can't really.
How much
What?
do you weigh, honestly?
Now I'm in a like 70, 71 kilo weight class,
Okay.
but I just came up from 64, so I went through a bulk.
Wow. Okay. You
Wow.
have big legs.
Thank you.
welcome.
Not too long ago, you were doing something where you measured the size of your quad.
Yes.
And I said I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to, because I'm sure that my quad is bigger than yours. I said
There's no way.
Listen, hold on. In my mind at that time, I had the
A
biggest
lot of
quads
things happen in your mind, my friend.
a lot of things happen in my mind.
Yeah.
I was off by about a bit.
A bit.
Yeah.
But still, mine were bigger.
No, yours were bigger.
I'm pretty sure
It's
mine.
every time. I keep a measuring tape in my bag because I always tell them no one's legs are bigger than mine. They go, okay.
So you've never done like the watermelon crushing trick at parties and stuff?
Not yet. No, I always like squat the heaviest guy in the room. Usually, that's my party trick.
You want to give it a try?
I've already worked out today. You can see it on my.
But okay. So Gymshark, they have you. They're over the moon. You wear like these really cool.
Calm down, okay?
No, I can't.
Calm down.
But then you have to tell
Oh
us,
my God.
like, because I still don't understand the slider culture,
The
and
what?
I'm shocked how you're not wearing sliders today.
Sliders, yeah.
Oh, to be fair, I'd want to. It's just that I get very cold. I live in slides. 1,000,000%. I live in them.
Slides and socks. You could be German.
For
The
sure.
Germans.
Isma, you go, oh, Emma, you're an athlete. Like when we go to like Commonwealth Games, if you're not wearing slides and socks, get out of here. Like, if you're an athlete.
Why is it though?
Because
it's comfortable?
Because I genuinely believe that athletes are the laziest, fittest people in the world. And no one has time for shoes.
no
So
one
you
has
just put
time
the
for
slides
shoes.
on because then you just kick them off and lay down, put them back on, walk to
Tell me
food.
that you've never been to like a nightclub in slides and socks.
Listen, I haven't been to a nightclub in
It's true. It was the wrong example. Somewhere decent.
dinner in slides. Yes.
Like at a restaurant?
Plain. Yes. Plain. Obviously, it's like
With socks.
1,000,000%.
Wow. I got to say, and I'm not a person who knows fashion, but that is one of the worst fashion statements ever. No,
Really bad,
no
eh?
offense, yeah.
So you turned up to Gymshark and Slide? No. The first day.
Yes. Well, the first day. What do you mean? Like when I went for my first photo shoot?
Exactly.
Like I probably was. Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. You had an important question for her that you actually brought up before we started the podcast.
Which one?
I think now, which one?
Away.
It was like 1 hour ago, man. You don't remember already?
You started with
Like,
it.
should I ask it then?
Yeah. No.
Have you ever had athlete's foot?
No, it wasn't like that. It was.
How was it?
Allora, as being an athlete, have you ever had athlete foot?
No, I have not.
Vera.
No.
I had dust, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I did.
Would you like to
I might-
describe the feeling?
I might still have it. 4 years later.
What is it? What is it? Athlete's foot exactly?
It's like, I think it's,
You get like dry skin in between.
no, like
the-
between your toes and, what is
You get
that?
like some fungus. Or
I don't
something?
know. I've had a lot of stuff.
Okay, don't touch me now. Just in
It's had a
case,
lot of
right?
stuff.
So
Did you sanitize?
I
your hands?
bazooka that
I
veruca.
don't want to get. I don't want to get athletes' hands from you.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. So you've never had. Have you? What sort of things do you get being a weightlifter?
So, I've dislocated my thumb. So this is my permanent thumb now. Do you see? Like,
Oh yeah, that looks.
yeah.
that-
So this side is straight. but this
wow,
side-
Yeah.
that's something.
It's
Huh?
the same happens with, like, when you
Wow,
dislocate this one.
that's heavy.
And it's because we hold the barbell in a hook grip. You would know this.
But I don't like it.
Well, you're not a real weightlifter then. But you put the thumb underneath the rest of the fingers. So what happens is like I pulled my thumb out of place. And then I had to have a cyst removed from my wrist because of all this movement. You get like a little ball that became a bit too big.
Ostia.
And I couldn't move my fingers anymore. So I had to get that removed.
Can you not say that word, please?
Why?
It might be offensive to some, right?
No, that's.
Yes.
Thank you. If you don't mind.
Istra.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I get like I shave off the skin of my shins a lot because of the barbell moving really close.
Okay.
And my hips are always bruised from like hitting the bar to the hip.
Always, like constantly
Like it's part
bruised.
of the technique. You hit
Okay.
the bar to the hip to
Because when
bring
it's
the bar
too
out.
heavy, yeah.
So that's mostly of what we get.
Okay.
Apart from the constant knee, hip, and shoulder pain that comes with being an athlete. You know, in your 30s now, I'm moving into a different.
Are you
part.
actually officially 30 yet?
No,
So you're
in
not
a
in your
month.
30s?
Tomorrow month is my
Tomorrow month.
birthday. The big 3-0.
You're still young.
To be fair, I feel the best I felt ever. So I feel like 30s are gonna be a great time for me.
You're speaking like you're like 70 right now, okay? You're still 29, okay?
In my head, I'm already 30.
My
like.
God. I mean, no, you're young. You got the best years of your life ahead of you
I
still.
love it. Oh, don't worry. No, I'm very excited.
I like to think even at my age, I have some good years still to experience, you know? I mean,
Listen, my dad is proof of that. Like, my dad just gets, like, fitter, better, more successful with age. He's, like, my main inspo.
I'd like to think myself personally, I did the most and was the best and achieved the most during like 25 and 45, I think. That was the period for me. You know? I
Yes.
think everybody has a period,
Yeah.
right? That was the period for me. And before that, I was a bit of a fucking mess. And after it, should I say it? I'm a bit of a fucking mess. But yeah.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
For me, it's now actually.
Now is your time.
Now is my time. Since I've stopped playing football, now is my time. I go skiing, man. Like it's the love of my life, literally.
Oh, my God.
Don't oh my god me. Try and be. What?
Final Carty.
Ooh.
Hate skiing.
I love
Hate
skiing.
it.
When you're at the top of the mountain and you see your kids dressed up in these like
Oh,
this
that's cute,
snow
but
suit,
still.
and it's just like I swear to
cute,
God,
but-
the emotion that
I went
goes
skiing
through my
once.
veins.
And you hated
I
it?
literally just sat there miserable in the cold, needing to pee all the
But
time.
because you were scared of like hurting your knees or something
No,
like that.
Ta, no, it's just like I'm a summer girl. I'm a
Alright,
heat-
man.
I'm a
But
I'm a
don't shit on my
girl,
parade. Like
sunburn,
I like it.
paddleboarding.
Go
is
on paddleboard
fun,
all you want.
Kayaking, like
How can you like it? Only like lonely Scandinavians like skiing.
No, because I think I was introduced to this. Okay, first I could never do it in my
There's
life
a story
because,
behind
because
this.
of
Here we
your
go.
knees and you know, contracts and all that bullshit, and because we were playing in February as well. But now you're at the top of the mountain. You're drinking bombardinos and grappa mirtillos. Like one of the first times I went to the top of the mountain, and it was like one of my first days. And I was like, "Sub, my partner." I said, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about my knees." She was like, "You're nervous? No problem." We went to the refugio, grappa mirtillos, and I flew down that mountain. Like I tumbled
Were
a
you
bunch of times.
drunk or tipsy or what state were you in, or just relaxed?
That is ski culture.
Really wouldn't
Getting drunk?
take this too hard.
No. Don't take my advice. But now like, I'm an quite a
But now you
awesome
can do
skier.
it. That's why you like it. It's
Exactly.
stuff you couldn't do before.
For sure. But okay, I have a podcast. Haha. You see, this is living, my friend. This is living.
I like your attitude.
Thanks, man.
It needs to
I
rub
suck
off
at
me
it,
a bit more.
But
You suck at what?
a lot
Podcasting,
of
or-
shit. Podcasting.
Yeah.
But
We'll
it's
teach you
alright.
over time. Don't worry. You'll get there. I mean, there are certain times you've interrupted in this conversation and turned the conversation in a different direction.
So next time, pull it back.
We'll talk about that post podcast. All right.
Okay, you're doing
It's okay.
great.
It's okay. Okay.
Cheers.
We like to talk a bit about mental health here on this podcast,
Of course.
for obvious reasons. You mentioned earlier on PTSD. You mentioned anxiety. Tell us about your journey with mental health so far, and sort of how you've come through it, continue to come through it.
So, starting off, I was never an anxious person growing up. So this is something that I kind of developed through being an athlete, and it is a very common thing to start getting symptoms of anxiety once you start doing a sport, because it is, you know, it's a stressful thing to do. But I was very embarrassed about feeling anxious in the beginning, and I remember not telling absolutely anyone. And I always felt like I was above being anxious. Like, that doesn't happen to me. And
Did you sort of worry about how people would think about you if you did share it?
I think because I always said stuff like, "Oh, you just need to toughen it up. Like, I'm a tough girl. I won't, cry about it." I think because I was always that type of person, I did think, okay, people are going to think, okay, so you're not as tough as you thought you were.
A sign of weakness.
Exactly, a sign of weakness. That is 1,000,000% what I thought people would think if I ever showed that part of me. And because I bottled it up for so much of the beginning of my career, it got to a point where I could barely drive myself back home because I'd get really bad panic attacks in the car, and Jake, my fiance, would literally have to come and pick me up. It got very, very bad. And then eventually I decided to tell my parents, who were, again, obviously incredibly understanding, and try to find ways to get me to get help. So that's where I started to speak to a sports psychologist. And after that, I decided, because my social media, this was around pre-Olympics, because my social media was taking off, I wanted to be very genuine with all my followers. And I spoke about it publicly, which is what probably got me my first 50,000 followers. Because as soon as I spoke about it, I got a reaction I never expected. And I indirectly helped so many other athletes going through the same thing that I was going through. So since then I was a lot more proud in a way to share what I was feeling, and a bit less embarrassed. So even if I was feeling a certain way, I would always communicate it, no matter how stupid I felt, because sometimes you do feel that way.
Yeah.
And it is a big part of my social media at the moment as well, is to constantly communicate what I'm feeling and how I deal with my type of anxiety, because everyone goes through it in a very different way. And
That's good therapy, though, isn't it?
I say it very casually and calmly now. I have had a lot of help in practicing how to deal with it, and
Using certain tools and things like
exactly,
this.
yeah. So nowadays I control it a lot better.
What are
but-
some of the tools you use? What are your favorites?
So my biggest tool is to just surround myself with the right people. And I say that like this because it's just I have a group of really good friends at the moment who know what makes me happy and what keeps me positive. And I train with people who just want me to do well. And don't get me wrong, there's so many of them, so many more like people in Malta weightlifting that really want to like support me and see me do well, and that's incredible. But you just have to constantly surround yourself with the people that want to lift you up, and I think that's the main thing. Like, you really need that in your life.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Great advice. I have 2 questions for you now. Okay, and it's for people who might eventually listen to this podcast. Number 1, what advice do you have to someone who is looking to become a professional athlete? And number 2 is, what advice do you have to someone who is looking to become a YouTuber or an Instagrammer that wants to grow their following but is having struggles?
Okay, so advice to becoming an athlete is to do it with love and passion over like anything else. Like, don't do it because you think you're going to become famous or incredibly successful in terms of finances. Like, don't do it for that reason. Do it for all the right reasons. Do it because you're passionate about the sport. And if you do it with all the love and passion, then you will succeed. If you're doing it for the right reasons, you will succeed. And I think that's one of the main things I tell people, because if you're going into becoming an athlete because you want to become popular or because you think you're going to get something very big out of it in terms of money or success or being well known, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and you won't make it if you do it for those reasons.
Okay.
And then anyone who's trying to grow their social media, my 2 main like points of advice would be to be genuine. Don't try to portray someone you're not. Don't try and create content that's similar to someone else you follow because you like that type of content, but it's not really you. Just be very true to yourself, your image, your life, and communicate that to your social media. And secondly, be consistent. And this is a bit more of like a professional, businessy side of any social media, is that if you post today and then post again in another week, if you're showing consistency, like anything else, if you do that in your work, in your training, you're not going to succeed. And it translates directly to this. You have to be very consistent and treat it with respect. It is a full-time job. You know, a lot of people make fun of being a social media content creator, but they don't understand it is a full-time job and a very serious career. And if you do it right, you can do very well for yourself. So take it seriously, be consistent, and I think that would be my main advice.
Super.
I'll take it.
Good.
I don't think I'm ever going to be an Instagram star. I just
You have to be very comfortable with
Putting yourself out there.
Yes. Like, it's strange that sometimes I meet people and they're like, oh my God, yes, how's Jake? How's Jade? How's, you know, that person you train with? And I'm just thinking, oh my God, I feel so embarrassed. I don't know who you are. I'm sorry. Oh, no, you don't. I just follow you on Instagram. I just think,
There you
oh
go.
my God. It just feels like everyone, obviously because you're putting yourself out there, a lot of people feel like they genuinely know you. And I'm glad, because it just shows that I'm doing it the right way. It just sometimes I forget that when, you know, 20,000 people see my story, that's 20,000 people seeing my story.
It's a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate. Obviously, being on radio for 25 years, talking about myself constantly, and I would meet so many people, and they'd say, "Hey Oz, how are you? Hey, how you doing, man?" And I'd be like, "I've got no idea who this person is, no idea." But I'll always be polite.
Of course.
I gave my time to anybody who approached me. It was pretty amazing, I must admit. It still happens. I mean, I'm not exactly relevant anymore in that sense, but it still happens, and I still give my time, and it's still sweet, and you know, I love it as well.
Yeah, I think it's so important to
yeah.
just, I mean, these people take time to just follow your journey. And
It's nice.
Yeah.
the least you can do is, you know,
sure.
reciprocate that respect, I guess.
Absolutely. Should we do the
We shall.
you want to introduce, because you're getting professional now at introducing this segment of the podcast.
All right. So we.
He's so serious, isn't he?
Okay,
Breathe, son, breathe.
All right. Testing 1, 2.
Better.
No, listen. So we always end our podcast with a toolkit and a BET: books, episodes, and television. Basically, it's It's a recommendation to either a book, an episode, or television. And my one today is from the High Performance Podcast, episode 23 with Jonny Wilkinson.
God, Jonny Wilkinson.
You don't like Jonny?
Oh, you don't remember what he did to the Australian team in the 2003 Rugby World Cup final?
He scored, and they won.
He scored a lot, and they won. Yeah,
but listen,
and they didn't
listen,
deserve to
listen,
win. It was only because of him they won.
I used to like Jonny Wilkinson as an athlete. As a podcaster, as a human being, now I think he is honestly phenomenal. The stuff he talks about, the avenues of people's minds that he kind of navigate through. He has a great podcast.
You have to understand this, okay? And he was an amazing athlete, and what he did for England rugby, what he did during that World Cup was just something you'd probably never see again. However, being a citizen of Australia, I am not allowed to like the guy, right? All right? If I ever want to get back into the country, it's just not going to happen, all right?
Yeah.
But
so let me just clarify though that the episode that I recommended was on the High Performance Podcast, but he has his very own podcast called the I Am Podcast, and it is fantastic.
Super. Do you have one? Yes.
So
we talked about this.
Yes,
you're not much of a.
I do not read much, and I do not really watch TV at all. The only thing I truly consume is social media because it's where I work mostly. I am following. So it's like a source of inspiration. Someone who like calms me down mentally at the moment is Dr. Stacy Sims. I don't know if you know who she is. She talks a lot about women in strength sports and how we deal with certain things that obviously men will never understand. And she talks a lot about how you deal with certain phases of your cycle during your strength cycles as well. And she's been like a really good source of information for me as a strength athlete.
Dr. Stacy Sims.
Yes.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
She's very well known. And like I had no idea. I just came across her profile not too long ago. And she always posts just like really informative posts on Instagram with like a really long caption.
Is it relevant to people who are not in, weight training or?
For sure. If you're a woman who's into fitness at all, even if it's just slightly, it will be relevant to you. Because sometimes we go through phases where we don't understand why, let's say, we don't, I don't know, lose weight as fast as someone else, or if
Lack
our
of
mood
motivation.
isn't great during training today, but then it's great the next day. It just helps you understand more. It helps you forgive yourself more.
Yeah.
Because it helps you understand that sometimes you can't help it.
Cool. Yeah. Should I say mine?
Yeah, go for it.
So this is something I've used many, many times in the past, and it's you've heard of Deepak Chopra, I imagine. No.
Oh.
Deepak Chopra. You've never heard of Deepak Chopra.
Uh-uh.
He is one of the world's.
I heard about him.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Wow.
You see,
Out of nowhere.
the athletes are synced and the DJs are synced. You see.
I love it when Mike pops out.
I love it, man. I love it too. Deepak Chopra. He's a spiritual guide. He's I don't know how to describe him. He's very, very large in the spiritual healing community. And he's very big in the United States of America. He comes from India, obviously. And on Spotify, he has this series called The 21 Days of Abundance. Okay, it's a meditation series. And it's one of my favorite, he's got such a calming voice. He's got this very deep Indian voice. And he guides you through abundance, what abundance is all, taking abundance from life. Because without abundance, we don't really have anything. And this is really good if you're a person who's been struggling lately to find the meaning of life, some joy out of life, find this on Spotify. It's called The 21 Days of Abundance with Deepak Chopra. It's pretty amazing.
That sounds
Pretty
interesting.
amazing.
You've convinced me.
You should try it. Yeah. Do you get
More
into
than
meditation at all?
I'm not really, but I'm very open to it.
Wake up in the morning. Well, you probably have your routine, but I think it's only like 15 minutes per session. Find the time and tell me what you think.
Okay, for sure.
It's pretty cool.
I'm intrigued.
Would you do it too? You're going to do it too?
he's already in the mood somewhere.
What meditation?
No, Deepak. You going to do some Deepak? Or
I will surely
give
check
it a
him.
try.
But talking about deep Indian accents, I'd really like to get my sat nav with a deep Indian accent. Turn left. It's always been a dream of that. We should look into that.
No, that's a good idea. I liked your attempt for like a millisecond to do an Indian accent. That was impressive.
Not very good at
But you gave it was like half a second, you know. And then you said, I'm not going to do
Because
this.
then I embarrassed myself. So I said,
That's probably what he was on about. He's like, what can I say in an Indian accent?
You know what I took out of that from seeing him do that? He wants to do it so much, but he knows he sucks and he's going to embarrass himself, so he doesn't do it, right? I don't know if it's even appropriate to try it in this day and age. I mean, if the world is so sensitive about such things, maybe you shouldn't do it. But it was very sweet to watch.
Sometimes I leave my sensor at home.
Does it bother you how I can see through you? Because I do see through you a little bit.
I know you do.
Does it bother you?
But we had a meaningful conversation recently,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
About how you are like my older brother.
Yes.
So I can accept the shit that
Fantastic.
you give me.
Thank you, man.
All right?
We've had a lot of meaningful conversations, you and I, haven't we?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. We should go for lunch again.
I think we should.
Yeah, you're buying this time.
I will buy. It's
Okay.
on me, okay?
Yeah.
Han, okay. Can I buy it? Han, can I buy it for him? Not you, Mike. I'm talking to the camera.
Where, man, you're selling your house?
Yeah.
Calma.
Calm. I'm selling my house. I'm supposed to be calm. Have you been through that process? You have,
I
no?
have.
Yeah, thank you.
I have.
I can't be calm. Toolkit?
So toolkit
What you got?
for me it's running. Now I don't love to run. No, I don't love to run.
Someone definitely doesn't have to run.
But during times where I feel that my brain is either on overdrive or I'm not in a good place, or for example I've got a presentation coming up, I go for a run. I pop in the headphones, but usually on a podcast, and I'm running just for my mind, just to come up with good ideas, maybe good content for a presentation, just mental freedom. I'm not even aware of how fast I'm running or how far I'm running. If I need to stop and take a selfie, no, I never take a selfie, honestly. But if I
Me
need
neither,
to,
strong.
but if I need to stop and take notes,
Sarcasm.
for example, I do it. You know,
You stop the run and take notes.
yeah, I'd stop and
okay.
take notes, or send an email to someone that, okay, this needs to be done right now, so I'll stop. Once again, I'm not running
That's cool.
for fitness per se. I'm running for my mind.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
Very
man.
cool. Mine is something that I really need to practice more, but it's so important that everybody practices this, okay? Be kind to yourself. So every single day you should find a way to show yourself some kindness. And I don't do it enough, and it's a big part of my downfall, to be honest, and because I find it really difficult to be kind to myself, but it's so important. So
I totally
everybody
agree.
should do it.
And I've been on this journey of like loving myself. It sounds really cheesy, but I've
not.
always
It's really not,
hated
yeah.
little parts of myself, and I've decided this year that every little part of myself that I've hated, I'm gonna turn it all the way around, and I'm just gonna make it
Do
like
it.
yes,
do it.
I'm really on a journey of self love. So I love that.
I just need to find it myself somehow.
Even
It's
your
just-
sliders.
Anyway,
What is your obsession with sliders?
I hate them.
Oh, okay, we're gonna before we finish this podcast in our like late 80s, we're gonna get a picture of you in a pair of speedos and sliders with socks. All right,
Sure.
not
you
bad.
have the body for it at least, right? All right. See, people wouldn't mind seeing
see-
you in that. Seeing me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not the same.
You
thing.
do that to me all the time, and I never know how to reply. But thanks.
Is it?
You like it?
Is it? Is it me?
I become so awkward.
He doesn't like it. He hates
I
it. I
hate
can
it,
tell you. But do you see that as a form of body shaping, even body shaming, even though it's you having a good body? Is that body shaming as well? Do you think?
No.
I know that's the word, but I'm thinking if it could be.
It could be a form of it, really.
Well, if
truly,
he's
think about it.
uncomfortable being told,
Yeah,
then
right.
yes,
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm
Some
a
people-
body shamer. I'm so
so sorry.
embarrassed. I apologize. I only mean it as compliments. I promise you.
No, I see where your heart comes from. So
Thank you,
So it's
thank
fine.
Coming from a good
Thank you.
place.
Yeah.
It's all compliments. Okay, I like you, man. All right.
That's fine.
There
This
you go.
bromance.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
No one told me.
No one told you.
I'm
You weren't-
gonna be the
you weren't ready for this.
Listen, Yaz, it's been,
Spalliera, oh, they say in Maltese.
what's that mean?
Like a
Third
third.
wheel.
Romance? Third wheel?
No, no.
Oh, she's the third wheel. Okay. Wasn't it Stepney or that's
Stepney Sakarotsa here.
no?
But I think
What is they use it as a reference to being sort
Could
of the third. I don't know.
I'm not
maybe
very good at
wrong.
Maltese.
Me, I'm
Me neither.
worse. Yeah, I'm worse.
I'm a lot better now.
I'll tell you a secret.
Go on.
How many times did I stand up for the national anthem?
Probably a lot.
I know.
You don't know it?
No, that's really
I don't
bad.
know all of it.
You don't know all of it?
Oh no.
I know the part. Let me tell you, in football, you know.
And you sing it every time.
Yeah, hold on. But the camera is usually on me for the first bit, and then it goes.
So
So I
So you
know
know-
for the rest of it, you're just
Exactly.
mouthing blah, 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 blah.
There's a part where I shut off basically, and I can.
But he fakes it. He goes like into emotion.
If you actually watch his lips, he's going, Flintstones, where the Flintstones? All right, listen, Yaz, it's been super. You're a star. Thank you for coming. I really enjoyed having you
I
here with
enjoyed
us.
this a lot as well.
And all the success. So the next thing is the Commonwealth Games.
Probably.
What's the
That's the one I want to retire.
what year is
with.
it in? What's the next one?
2026.
2026.
So until then, you'll probably see me on some stage, but I haven't decided where.
Well, you do it, and it's your journey. Do it in
Thank
your
you.
own pace. Good luck with your wedding and everything. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Say hi to Jake for us,
I will.
and hopefully we'll get you back again sometime. Yeah.
For sure.
Great.
Super. Thanks.
Thanks, Jess.
Cheers.
Welcome.
The content of this
Let's go.
podcast is intended for general informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. The information provided on this podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition. The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the podcast host or producer. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, please call 112 or seek immediate medical attention.